Brownsville School Board of Directors will meet in regular session on Thursday, January 16, 2014 at Brownsville High School Auditorium, 1 Falcon Drive, Brownsville, PA for general purposes. Roll call, please.
Mr. Assett.
Here.
Mr. Bain.
Present.
Mr. Brashear.
Here.
Mr. Delarose.
Here.
Mr. Dorsey.
Here.
Mr. Gates.
Here.
Mr. Harvey.
Here.
Mr. Seeley.
Here.
Mrs. Teravecchia. Here.
Would you stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, item 2, superintendent's remarks.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a few this evening, and we do have awards tonight. Some of you may know that January is Board Recognition Month. This Thursday, I would like to commend and thank our Brownsville Area School Board directors for their service to the community and to the students for their personal time and sacrifice for the benefit of all of us here. So at this point, I would like to, again, thank all of you and congratulate you. Also, I've been notified by the Pennsylvania School Board Association that it honors board members who have completed a minimum of 8 years of service in any school district throughout the state of Pennsylvania. At this time, the Pennsylvania School Board Association has asked that I honor Mr. Rondell Rose for 8 years of service to the Brownsville Area School Board, Brownsville Area School District. So, Mr. Delrose. Also, I'd like to commend and thank the students, parents, and staff of Brownsville Middle School for their efforts surrounding a canned good drive this past holiday season. We'd like to commend the Student Council for choosing a worthy project to support in our community. The students and staff and parents collected over 530 cans of food, which were distributed over 90 needy families who participated in the food banks, sponsored by the Brownsville Area Ministerial Association and the Catholic Diocese. And Reverend Alita Menchik has sent a ward along with, who is the pastor of the Calvin United Presbyterian Church and president of the Brownsville Area Ministerial Association. So I'd like to commend all staff, students, administration, parents for their hard work in a worthy activity over the holiday. Also like to give a brief report on the elementary project. The district, a few years ago, hired the architect firm of L.R. Kimball to begin the planning stages for a new elementary complex. Surveys were completed by Macmillan engineering firm recently. The board at this point has decided the complex will be built on the high school campus. The schematic designs are being developed now at this time with options in the project. Macero Construction Management Services has been hired recently as the clerk of the works and the estimator for the project. We are waiting now for a scheduled meeting between Macero Construction and the architect firm of Kimball to discuss continued progress on the elementary project at this time. This has been a very labored project, very detailed. I can assure you that the school board here has taken every concern pertaining to cost to the people of the Brownsville Area School District and building a quality facility for our elementary students. And breaking ground will occur probably late spring of this year. So that's my report now. We will turn to our superintendent's awards. This is our first superintendent's awards for this school year. And as always, I'm very proud of what our staff do for our children. I appreciate the support of our community, our parents, in making our school the best it can possibly be. I'd also like to thank Mrs. Guerra and the BEA for supplying treats for our students this year. So we'll start with Cox-Dunhay, Mr. Berdar.
At this time, I'd like to begin with Cox-Donahue presenting the First 9 Week Superintendent's Award, and we will begin with kindergarten. First up, Braden Berry. Logan Chisler. Emily Dolan. Aubrey King. Jeremy Martin. Maurice McBride. Alyssa Sharp. And Benjamin Vojason. Next up, we have first grade, Olivia Branch. Christopher Clines. Jaden Dillinger. Abigail Rice. Sarah Saka. Ariana Shaw. We also have Alexandra Grimes, who could not be with us this evening, from first grade. Next up, second grade, Connor Barrett. Brianna Prisner. Isaiah Aid. Evan Petrovich. And Carolina Thomas. And at this time,
time, I would like to recognize the students of Central Elementary School, grade 3, Riley Urchbeck. Zitney. Madison Gresh. Mercedes Luff. Melanie Bohatch. Hunter Petrovich. Grade 4 students, Ryan Dubas. Tyler Weigel. Dylan Kavanaugh. Joseph Trenches is not able to be here this evening. Gabriella Hill. Jerry Words. Grade 5 students, Hannah Sexton. Raheem Dove. Patrick Schumar. Kaylee Snyder. Caitlin Whitlock. Lindsay Sethman. And Mackenzie Blanche.
Good job, guys. Congratulations. Thank you. And at this time, the middle school, Mr. Nesser.
The superintendent's recipients for the 6th grade, Lydia Carney. 7th grade, Marco Gomez. And not in attendance tonight for the 8th grade, Emily Brown.
Good job, guys. And at this time, high school, Mr. Kutz.
Hi, welcome everyone. The high school superintendent's awards winners for the freshmen were Hannah Rossi, who doesn't seem to be in attendance this evening, and for the sophomore class, Evan Pfeffer, who also in attendance. Our junior award winner, Kara Rolfe. And representing the senior class, our winner, Ashley Harn.
Thank you. Again, I want to reiterate, it takes everyone to work with our students, work with our schools, and obviously we all have to work with parents, and I think we're all doing a pretty good job. So I commend all of you, and thank you.
Okay, one final thing Mr. Superintendent did not mention. We hope to open up the elementary August of 2015. So the young ones can look forward to that building. It should be very, very nice. Also, now's your chance to bail out. But if you wish to stay, okay, item 3, public remarks on agenda items. Anyone wishing to speak, please come forward and state your name, nature of business. Anyone? Seeing no one, item 4, adoption of agenda and related materials for incorporation in the minutes. Motion by Director Bain, second by Director Dorsey. Questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Item 5, approval of the December 5th, 2013 reorganization, December 5th, 2013 special meeting, and January 9th, 2014 board minutes. Motion by Director Teravecchia, second by Director Seeley. Questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Item 6, Director Bain.
Approve the December 2013 General Fund Capital Fund, Title 1, Title 2A, 2D, Cafeteria Fund, Treasurer, Financial Reports.
Motion by Director Teravecchia, second by Mr. Director Dorsey. Questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Assett?
Yes.
Mr. Bain?
Yes.
Mr. Brashear?
Yes.
Mr. Delarose?
Yes.
Mr. Dorsey?
Yes.
Mr. Gates?
Yes.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Seeley?
Yes.
Mrs. Teravecchia?
Yes.
Item 7, approval of the following funds you have before you. Motion by Director Banks, second by Director Teravicki. Questions? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Teravicki? Yes. Mr. Seeley?
Yes.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Gates?
Yes.
Mr. Dorsey?
Yes.
Mr. Delarose? Yes. Mr. Bashir?
Yes.
Mr. Bain?
Yes.
Mr. Acid?
Yes.
Solicitor's report, Mr. Jeremy Davis.
Thank you. I have no report tonight.
Education, Mr. Dorsey.
Item A, I move to hire Teresa Maley as a part-time 4.5 hour teacher's aide at the salary consistent with district SEIU contract effective January 20th, 2014.
Motion by Director Dorsey, second by Director Teravicki. Questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Acid?
Yes.
Mr. Bain?
Yes.
Mr. Bashir?
Yes.
Mr. Delarose?
Yes.
Mr. Dorsey?
Yes.
Mr. Gates?
Yes.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Seeley?
Yes.
Mrs. Teravicki?
Item B, I move to hire Lisa Wida as part-time 4.5 hour teacher's aide with salary consistent with the district SEIU contract effective January 10th, 2014.
Motion by Director Dorsey, second by Director Teravicki. Questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Acid?
Yes.
Mr. Bain?
Yes.
Mr. Bashir?
Yes.
Mr. Delarose? Mr. Dorsey?
Yes.
Mr. Gates?
Yes.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Seeley?
Yes.
Mrs. Teravicki? Yes.
Personnel, Director Dorsey.
Item A, I move a request from Paul Petrie to extend her FMLA medical leave until January 13th, 2014, when another evaluation will be made. I assume this is retro.
Motion by Director Delarose, second by Director Teravicki. Yes, you beat you.
Okay.
Question. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Item B, I move to approve a request from Aaliyah Schoenstein to extend her unpaid maternity leave through the end of the 2013-14 school year with intentions on returning to school in the beginning of the 2014-15 school year.
Motion by Director Delarose, second by Director Teravicki. Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Item C, I move to approve a request from Leanna Sagi to extend her maternity leave until February 10th, 2014 due to child care issues.
Motion by Director Delarose, second by Director Teravicki. Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Finance, Director Bain.
I make a motion to display and advertise the preliminary budget for the 2014-2015 school year.
Motion by Director Bain, second by Director Teravicki. Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I make a motion to approve the monies to be repaid in the amount of $347,250 from the general fund to the capital fund to the refinancing bond issues.
Motion by Director Bain, second by Director Teravicki. Questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Acid?
Yes.
Mr. Bain?
Yes.
Mr. Bashir?
Yes.
Mr. Delarose?
Yes.
Mr. Dorsey?
Yes.
Mr. Gates?
Yes.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Seeley?
Yes.
Mrs. Teravicki? Yes.
Item C, consider a motion to request from Brownsville Bus Lines to increase transportation services by 10% due to the rising cost of diesel.
Motion by Director Bain, second by Director Teravicki. Questions?
Question. Did we get any answers on that, on what the actual difference was? Or are we obligated by contract on that?
The difference on,
For that fuel cost, what, it went up so many. And
I provided you with the cost per gallon. I think it was $3.88
right,
now,
and that's all under contract, right?
and yeah,
Okay.
the contract language says in the event that the base price of fuel should exceed $3 per gallon, the contractor reserves the right to request an increase to a maximum of 10% in any one school year. Any increase as received will cease when fuel price is below $3.
So that is only for this year?
Per year.
So after this year, let's go back down, and they'd have to vote on it again.
They'd have to request it, and then you have to vote on that.
Okay.
It's based on cost.
I just wanted that clear for the public, that's all.
It's based on cost.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Teravicki?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Gates?
Yes.
Mr. Dorsey?
Yes.
Mr. Delarose?
Yes.
Mr. Bashir?
Abstain.
Mr. Bain?
Yes.
And Mr. Assett?
Yes.
Buildings and grounds?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Item A. We just voted to display a preliminary budget. On Monday, we had some numbers attached to a motion for a preliminary budget. And I'm just wondering how we are, I clearly believe in being honest with public. And I know we haven't had a finance meeting since last May or June before we voted a couple days later on the budget for last year. But I don't know whether this is a smoke screen on here, but why aren't we voting on this budget that we're going to display? What are we displaying?
We cannot vote on the preliminary budget for Act 1 until you display it for 20 days. And it has to be displayed in the office as you normally would. If part of the Act 1,
Then why Monday were we considering a motion to adopt a preliminary budget with these tax increases, which were 6.1 mils for Fayette County, 39 mils for Washington County? And if it's such a big tax increase that we're proposing, I know it's just a template that we're supposed to work down from, but I thought we were supposed to adopt that first and then display it. I don't.
no,
We always did it that way before.
I know, but I reviewed the Act 1
So
guidelines, and it states that you
So we're going to
display it
display
first.
this and not even vote on it?
You display it for 20 days before you vote on it, so
Then
that the public can comment on it.
Good.
Okay.
Well, that was my thing.
Yeah, no, it-
Just by displaying it, most of the public isn't going to probably even come up here and look at this budget. I know most of the people where I live aren't going to come up here to look at a budget. They're just, waiting to hear what the budget's going to be, and they don't know that they're going to possibly get hit with a 39 mil tax increase in West Brownsville, which I do think we should advertise that, at least these numbers in the paper, or it should be in this news article as it goes to print, so that the people who at least receive the paper, who can't make it up here, can see what the proposed tax increase is.
Some kind of ad, is that what you're saying?
I'm not even saying an ad. I mean, if I wouldn't have said anything here, we have a lot of elderly people in our area that would not have known until it came to vote that it was a 6.1 mil increase and a 39 mil increase in Washington County. What I'm saying, at least, if there's going to be an article in the newspaper about this meeting,
To put that in.
put that in there so these people that at least get the paper can know what the possibility of tax hikes coming down the road.
Yeah, I've already been contacted by the newspaper.
Okay, because I didn't know. I mean, because there's
After the
nothing.
meeting, I'll have
Today's agenda,
information.
there's nothing. So if the person here, if I would have brought this up, the person from the paper is up here, they're just going to put, they're going to, advertise the budget. Nobody knows what the budget is. That's what I'm saying. And that's why I hate sounding like a broken record, but I have to sound like a broken record. If it was going to be this high of a possible tax increase, which I know it's not going to be that high, we should have been discussing this since last May or June. I mean, just boom, here it is. Display and vote on it. That happens too often in this district. Then there's a tax increase, then we're okay again. That's all.
I understand your comments, Andy. I understand.
It's not like it's happened just once. That's why, this is why in the past, I get so agitated because, like, item B, the money that we're repaying, this $347,250 is past money that a past administration took out of our construction fund to pay things they should have been paying for. And to date, we only thought it was $197,000, and here actually, now that we're finally repaying everything off, there's $347 on top of what we paid. And would you say, Mike?
Plus, we made seven.
It was like
it was like
if you had everything that was pulled out, there was over $2 million
There you go.
came out,
But
and
they
now
were,
that's gone
they were
back.
able to put a good bit back,
Yes.
just Robert
This-
Seeger paid Paul.
this last
And they
week-
get them, and they couldn't do it anymore, and then, but still, even when we found out, what was it, 2 years ago or so, it's still, now we're getting up, it was that high that they took that much. I mean, it took a lot of track covering to be able to do that in the past, you know? And that's, I just want to be on top of it and honest, and that's why I thank you on Monday night for letting us know what that actual number was, because our past administration and business managers, we couldn't get a number out of them to save our life.
Well, I understand your comments, Andy, and I know it's a preliminary budget. I, for one, don't see any tax increase. Certainly, my reason, I would have never voted for a building project. I mean, I think that's where we're all
Well,
at.
that's what, you know, we're telling everybody that there's no tax increase attributed to the building project, and I know we have a motion on here for the bonds, and the way the bonds are going to go, there is no tax money or tax increase going to go. That is going to be built on a consistent rate of our debt right now on our bond issues. But if all of a sudden we throw out a number after we start breaking ground, 6.1 mils, see, they lied, they're doing it for.
Yeah, that's what I don't want the public to perceive, that we're trying to railroad something down the road here. It's, the school's being built on the bond money, which runs out 2047. I think it'll be long gone by then. Most of us in this room will be, but there will be a new school. But any tax increase, on what Mr. Dorsey is talking about, and he makes a good point, is what would be needed down the road. But we made some pretty good budget cuts, so I'm confident we'll be okay. I really am.
Just so you know too, that the state is mandating the schools to pay up for the retirement. And this is important to understand. The state is mandating the school districts to increase the amount of money paid towards the retirement fund for various reasons on the state side. So
The biggest thing with that, Phil, which irritates me too, is because if my retirement went bad, it went bad and I lost that money. But the state's making us put back in for money that they mismanaged in the retirement fund.
Exactly.
And the taxpayers are going to have to make up for what the state mismanaged. And that money should just be at a loss. We shouldn't have to go back in as taxpayers and pay that. They wouldn't come back in and recoup what I lost in mine, was it 4 years ago?
Right. No, just so everybody knows, that is what the state is coming down with on all school districts.
Andy, that's one of the big things that I have a problem with, is that we're handing paper after paper after paper of numbers, okay? And in my opinion, they're smoke screens. The work wasn't put in place to make it a right number. So what we'll do is we'll deceive, you know, well, here we go, we'll deceive you. This is what it takes to make it right. But there ain't nobody on this board that's going to take that action. You know, and I'm not a big believer in deceiving people, and that's the way I feel about this. I feel this is nothing but it's deceiving people. And when you start deceiving people with my phone's going to ring, your phone, your phone, your phone, your phone, you're going to raise taxes.
Yeah.
I have problems with that.
It's a preliminary budget, you know, every year, all the years I've been on here, you see numbers fly, they're sky high, in a month they go down below the radar. Because it has to be. But I think when they throw a preliminary budget out, it's like, to make everything perfect in a perfect world in this district, you need 25 mil tax.
Like I said, it's just a deception.
You know it doesn't happen. We hope it doesn't happen. I'm very confident in my vote for this building project, and did not want to scrap taxpayers or anything, which is why I give it my vote. It will be good for the district. We'll hopefully have this building open in August, and it'll be a positive thing. So I'm not going to get all, but I understand where Mr. Dorsey's coming from, because you really want to see the real numbers. So I guess we're not going to know until next month.
That's the key point there, and what Mr. Dorsey said, is that, okay, everybody on this board agrees that we don't want, we're not going to agree to raise taxes that much. So we need to continue to meet from a financial standpoint to understand how it's going to go from a 6 mil increase down to a 0 increase, or whatever it has to be. So, and that's the key takeaway there. Is that, okay, we have to understand that we're not
exactly sure what all the subsidies are yet at this point, so that's the reason why that number may be inflated. We're not exactly sure where our utility numbers may be coming in or other costs. Again, these are items that may have that number inflated, but in order for this board to be educated to those types of things, like I said, the key point that Mr. Dorsey said is that we need to meet and understand that so we can raise the right questions and ensure that that number gets to where we want it to be.
And that's, and to iterate on that, Mr. Harvey, is the hardest part of all of that is we'll be going in to vote on a final budget and still not have our numbers in what we're going to get from the state. And that really makes it, that really straps our hands a lot too. I mean, last year we approved the budget on one number and we wound up getting a little more than we anticipated. Am I correct, Mike? I mean, how do you know when they don't give you the numbers and they want you to make a decision? You know what I mean?
Okay, buildings and grounds, Director.
Before I go into the motions, both of these read as we discussed, but I believe we discussed these Monday. So
Yes, they are.
if the board agrees, I'm going to make these motions. So item A, I move to adopt a 3-year agreement with AHDRA reinspection and update the district's asbestos management plan for a fee of $5,525. If required, requested, and/or approved by the district, will be invoiced at $25 per PLM analysis and/or sample layer plus shipping and handling.
Motion by Director Harvey, second by Director Teravicki. Questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Acid?
Yes.
Mr. Bain?
Yes.
Mr. Bashir?
Yes.
Mr. Delarose?
Yes.
Mr. Dorsey?
Yes.
Mr. Gates?
Yes.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Seeley?
Yes.
Mrs. Teravicki?
Yes.
I move to renew a standard exclusive listing contract with Larry A. Franks Real Estate Agency for the Cardell Elementary School with compensations of $4,000 or 6% of the sale price of the property for 1 year.
Motion by Director Harvey, second by Director Teravicki. Questions? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Teravicki? Yes. Mr. Seeley?
Yes.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Gates?
Yes.
Mr. Dorsey?
Yes.
Mr. Delarose? Mr. Bashir?
Yes.
Mr. Bain?
Yes.
Mr. Acid?
Yes.
Just one thing, Mr. Dorsey brought up a good point the other night. I don't know if you get to talk to everybody. Maybe you want to enlighten everybody about the other two schools, or you want to?
Which,
We talked about
I'm trying to remember what we talked.
the real estate, the selling of the other two.
Oh, yeah.
Now the
Yeah,
time.
I talked to Rocky, and I don't know, Jeremy, if we can do this, but could we start looking at listing, since we are already going into this project, land's gonna be moved, and once that land starts moving, the project's going. Could we list the other two buildings to sell the other two buildings with an agreement that we sell them and whoever buys them then takes over, we will maintain them until we move out of them, and then whoever buys them takes over when we move the kids out into the new school building.
I'm not sure if I'd advise that. I mean, I think you can start looking into listing them if you want to start.
Well, they go, the reason I told Rocky is because we want to get the money to make a change, if we want to make other changes in this building plan and add a couple things. I know we're trying to tinker with bonds to get a little extra money, but if we can get some of that money in now, because if it's a process like we've had in the past with trying to sell schools, it could take a couple of years from the time we decide, hey, we're going to list them until we finally sell them. And it was just my idea to try to speed that process
Not
up.
to go into that, but I mean, there are times where you can reach agreements with if somebody's going to come in and buy it.
Yeah.
You can make any kind of agreement you want. You can maintain insurance.
Right.
Not usually pay utilities. But I'm not sure if there's any exceptions with the school district selling school. I mean, I don't know.
Would that be similar to a self-tenant agreement?
Yeah, you can do it. You can make that thing.
I know,
That's a good
like,
idea.
when we had talked about some of that other land we were going to sell, but they wouldn't be able to use it right away, but we could still maintain and use that land down there at the ball field or whatever until, because we, the company to build housing on it and everything. Oh, they're not ready, but we could use it until they're ready. But we kind of said, no, we weren't going to sell it yet, you know.
Well, they wanted us to pay it for it, to use it.
Hmm?
You remember?
Yeah.
They wanted us to pay them to use it after we
Yeah,
said it.
yeah.
So,
I think one of the other things to research, if I remember, in Central School, there may be something back or stipulation that can't be sold, or
It has to be,
something.
I think the first right of refusal goes back to your former family.
Something like that.
Because that land was loaned.
Oh, okay.
So maybe we need to
School district.
For Central.
So that it would never change hands, they get the first right.
That should be.
Just so we know what we're up against, I just remember something like Mr. Harvey saying that there was something stipulation about selling that school that we have to do.
Now it's time to look into it. Yeah.
I just don't want to find out that they were ready to put them on the market.
Yeah.
Okay, athletic director.
Item A, I move to hire Sean Clemmer as high school assistant varsity basketball coach for the 2013-2014 school year. Compensation is set at $1,200 on the athletic salary scale.
Motion by Director Acid, second by Director Teravicki. Questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Acid?
Yes.
Mr. Bain?
Yes.
Mr. Bashir?
Yes.
Mr. Delarose?
Yes.
Mr. Dorsey?
Yes.
Mr. Gates?
Yes.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Healy?
Yes.
Mrs. Terrabecchia?
Yes.
Item 9, public comments on I'm sorry.
One other thing, on Monday, we discussed, I don't actually want to say what we discussed, but because I didn't know whether it was in a motion, would be brought to a motion or still at a discussion point, but we discussed some things with our security guards. Or
What
we
we
not
have
want to
to
act
do, what
on
we
that,
have to do is develop a policy, then vote on
and then
the
we can
policy.
do that.
So, yeah, go ahead.
We had a policy years ago, right? Do an updated policy, that we would bring it to development.
And then do, okay. So I know some of the board members, you know, from the discussion, we were still back and forth on it, but I didn't know whether we had a majority to do that or.
No, it was fine, it's just, I said it Monday that I want to get it through him first to make sure the eyes are dotted, T's are crossed.
Yeah, we just had to update the written policy.
Okay.
And it would have to be board approval.
It's good.
Mr. Baker's comment.
I have a question, and this is going to go back to the buildings and grounds and the new elementary complex that we're proposing to build. We had a survey done on the property, and I still have questions on the school being built. And what I want to know, have we ever had this other type of property survey before?
Yes.
And where is that survey?
That was the original survey.
The survey for this side of it?
For the hill. No, the survey that was authorized was for that tract of land only, to see if the building would fit on that tract of land. That's all it was. It wasn't to survey the whole.
But then the architect, didn't they say they looked over here, but the infrastructure's not there? That's to save money, they moved here because the infrastructure's there.
It was for where the discussion was to place the building at that time. Did they review that over there, the architects? Yes. But it wasn't conducive at that point for facilities, so therefore it was moved over.
I took the time to put a pair of boots on and decided to walk that property over there. And I was
You're
under
talking
this.
about just right over the hill.
Right back here, you know, the cafeteria, here in that corner. And there was a large section of flat land. And I don't think that was ever surveyed or looked at.
You're talking about the practice field for bands?
No, I'm talking about right over that, there's a little bit of a large section of flat land. I mean, it's big enough to put two schools. It might be something that we might need to consider instead of putting money into building a football practice facility and stuff like this, that might wind up being more I just think it should be looked at.
Again, Mr. Brandon, the architects, although there wasn't a formal survey conducted on that piece of property, they reviewed all that property. And based on, what Mr. Miller said, the infrastructure, meaning that your lowest cost by tying into current infrastructure, stormwater drainage, the stormwater pond that exists on this property already, current parking patterns, and the demolition that would have to occur over there. Now that was, of course, you're looking at this.
But, Brett, that was what you're talking about.
I understand, but on this property too, they looked at, which would mean additional costs for gradings, tree removal, drilling, and those types of items.
You know, when I
So
look-
based on their review of the whole property, both Hiller and the adjacent high school property, their recommendation was
I think that we need to discuss this before we put a shovel in the ground, that's all I'm saying.
what I'm saying is that was discussed. That's my point, that they reviewed that, and based on their reviews, and I'm not.
But I haven't missed the meeting, and the discussion was always either at Hiller School or over here.
Those were
Never back here.
the two best options. They looked at the whole property and said, Hiller does have existing utilities. It does have a flat tract of land. It is deep forest. So that is your best option B. Your best option A would be here at the high school because of current, obviously updated utilities, no demolition.
I know there's a big discussion of stormwater in this new project, because we got a cemetery over here, and we got to come all the way to this pond, and I know that if this building was considered back in this corner, we're at the storm.
But it's not just access to stormwater, you have current storm drains that already lead to that, and that was there
From that
before.
field.
Sure.
Storm drains from that field back to that.
Absolutely, there's one right at the end of that runs along the street at the front and runs underneath both roads.
Comes all the way back this way.
Yes.
Then why are they telling us that they're gonna go across this way and put a pond over it?
No, that I'm not sure, I've never heard that, but.
Am I wrong, Mr. Savini?
It was a possibility. It's just an option.
I mean, I'm not saying that that's not the right place. I just want to make sure that we treat all our options. That's all I want to say. I want to say it the whole board review, because I was under the impression this whole thing was a hill back there. I didn't realize that there was this big section of flat land. Am I wrong, Mr.
It's
Wilson?
behind where the gas line comes across.
There's a huge cost
To the left.
to move that gas
The
line.
line.
No, this is.
Right.
I walked that after several years ago, a couple of
Yeah,
times.
Because we were talking just, down the road, in the plans, they called for the runoff water to go on the other side of those tennis courts. Over there, another separate pond.
But it would be down below.
Yeah, it'll be down below, something like that. And we're looking just where we're gonna practice our kids, in our sports. We got 2 soccer teams, middle school, high school, plus, there's 4 together there, and football teams, and everything. We have no room then for anything.
Well, to me, is that plot of land back there?
It's possible for that to be done too. I'm not.
Or the fill, the continue to fill and topsoil replacement here at the front. Michael, I understand your point, Mr. Bain, and when we got through the initial review from the architects of the property, and I think maybe why it wasn't abundantly apparent to the board that was discussed, is that it was dismissed by them that shouldn't even be considered. There's too much money involved with moving the dirt, deforesting, putting the infrastructure in there.
I was looking at the fact that we have 80-some acres, which all condensed into one area. There's no room for any other expansion, or if we have more parking issues, playgrounds and stuff like that.
I'm no architect, but I think part of what they were going to do were to look for parking solutions. Again, you're looking next to the basketball and tennis courts, continue the field, and blacktop, and that would be less costly than putting new buildings and infrastructure on that ground. Yes, you do compact everything in there, but that also has advantages, in regards to other items. And again, it's just, without them being here to discuss it, I'm just trying to.
I guess I'm asking the question because I know that we have scheduled meetings planned date by date on the calendar, and I guess what I'm hoping for in reality is I'm asking you, John, if we can schedule a meeting somewhere between because I don't want to really lose any time on this project. You know how vital time is on this. If there was any time we can have a meeting with the other officers, so give what the considerations. Even if it's just to discuss with us why we don't want to. I'd be okay with that. Sure. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, Mr. Wood, you have a question? Yes, I have a comment. When Mike McKay from Janet Government was here Monday night, we discussed the final piece of the bond issue. And we have a resolution out there not to exceed $49 million. The last piece of the bond issue can go one of two ways. If the board is desirous of getting some extra money, there's availability of getting over $2 million additional funds to put in the construction fund, which would bring it up to about $16.5 million. I think if you want to do something like that, we would need board approval because it would add, the whole premise of the original $49 million was to reshuffle money and leave the bond payment, the annual bond payment, approximately $2.5 million at that level for the whole period of time. If you, and this last piece is about $6.5 million would do that, keep it at 2.5, but the motion itself, the resolution itself, since it says 59 million, will allow up to an $8.755 million bond issue, which would get you another $2 million, but that would add about $105,000 to your debt service payment. So if you would like to do something like that, now would be the time if you want to include it in this bond issue. If not, you can always do it at a future date. But we discussed it the other day. I don't know if you had a chance to think about it before we make a decision on it.
Mike, what's the projected savings on consolidating the elementary school?
It was over $400,000, $437,000 a year. So $437,000. So there's plenty there to cover the payment, the additional payment of this.
I think we move on this while the interest rates are down, lock it in, and if we don't need it, we
you can always pay it back.
Back to the principal.
Use it, yeah.
It's better to have it. I mean, we're not planning on spending it, but if something should arise, you know.
Well, just in the meetings we've had discussing this building, we've come up with several issues that, man, it'd be nice if we can add this little bit and that little bit. And I can see a big difference between adding things because you want them and adding things because you need them. And so far what I've seen, we need some things added to this. It's not a want. So it would be nice to have that money there that we can, because, you know, we don't want these kids in a hot building. We want it air conditioned. We want the proper amount of restrooms in there for them. We want that, you know, just making it the code sometimes isn't good enough. You know, just the code, you need a little more. And if we get that money, the biggest thing we're going to have to, as a board, use that for what we need, not what we want. So that we manage that money there, because I'm in total agreement too, Andy, because I'd like to have that little cushion there, and if we can get it now. Interest rates are good, but plan on giving money back. Not spend, just because it's there, don't spend it.
I agree.
I agree with you.
As long as we don't use it, it's a license to spend.
Exactly, and that's what happened in the last project. There's a lot of things that were added in there that really shouldn't have been.
I think the things you said, Andy, I mean, it is 2014, the elementary school year.
Yeah.
You know, and we should have enough restrooms. And, you know, we're asking for still roof instead of a shingle roof. Those are, yeah, not big things we're asking for. And we need to do this building the right way. This is going to be it.
Right, even with the roof, the steel roof instead of the shingles, which will last us a lot in the long run.
Yeah.
That's not a necessity.
You know, this is all new. We've had leaks here already. That's why,
Right,
you know.
exactly.
Yeah, we'll need a motion, I think.
I move to amend the agenda.
Second.
Motion by Director Harvey, second by Director Dorsey to amend the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Go ahead.
I move to consider a motion to authorize the final bond issue at a total of $8,755,000, which will increase debt service payments by approximately $105,000.
Second.
Jody, did you get that? Is
Yes.
I have it.
that motion by you, Mr. Mike?
Yes.
Motion by Director Harvey, second by Director Gates.
Well, what we discussed, the savings, by saving the 400 and some thousand per year, that's just not a one-time saving. That's every year we're going to save that. So then actually we could say, well, if we end up spending all that, then we're only saving 300 and some thousand. Because the payment's only 105,000.
Being that's a new motion, anyone from the public open to comment? Seeing no one. Any other questions?
Yeah, I have one question
On this motion?
on this motion. Mike, that is the most we can get out of that?
Yeah, or to stay bank qualified, which you know basically guarantees us 0.25% better rates than non-bank
I
qualified.
have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Assett?
Yes.
Mr. Bain?
Yes.
Mr. Bashir?
Yes.
Mr. Delarose?
Yes.
Mr. Dorsey?
Yes.
Mr. Gates?
Yes.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Seeley?
Yes.
Mrs. Terrabecchia?
Yes.
Okay, the last item, public comment on anything on agenda items. Anyone wishing to speak, please come forward, speak your name, state your name and nature of business. Seeing no one?
Rock, I have one question for Jeremy.
Yes.
Is there a possibility, Jeremy, you can check on the deeds of all the schools to make sure there's no language in or like the one up at Central? Because we don't want to run into that same thing again.
Yes.
Yeah, I think we can get on the deeds very good.
Okay, thank you.
Need a motion to adjourn. Motion by Chair Becker, second by Mr. Dorsey. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Got it.